What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Friday, February 19th, 2021. Here for another episode of the Casual Fan Podcast, the hardest working, most entertaining, most accurate NHL/sports gambling podcast on YouTube. We've recently expanded to covering MLB, so make sure to check out the last video, which is the top 15 pitchers in contention for the AL Cy Young Award in 2021. But in this video, we're going to get to results from the past couple of days, talk about the most electric moments, the most devastating moments, what we learned, and get into predictions for the weekend. Before we get started, please make sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. The button's right there. We're gonna have a giveaway, which I'll give you more information about on my Instagram and Twitter, which you can follow at FanTheCasual. Thank you, really appreciate it. So let's take a look at the results. Over the past 2 days, I posted another 9-5 record. I posted a 9-5 record on Monday and Tuesday as well. That's actually pretty good, keeping some consistency throughout the week. Overall, my record improves to 132-100, which is about 56%. Still a winning percentage, which is what you need in betting. And find somebody else who's bet 232 picks through 16 games with that kind of percentage. So let's get to a total. So the things that I said would happen, that happened exactly the way I said they would. The Florida Panthers outplayed the Carolina Hurricanes. They were down 2-0 early, but they came back and won the game as underdogs. They were plus 140. So if you took my bet like I advised, you would have more than doubled your money, and it was a nice win. I'm glad the Panthers are doing well. They're supposed to be really good last year. They had all this hype around them, and they didn't really perform. This year, they seem to be clicking quite a bit better. I thought they lost players and got worse, but they've actually seem to be playing really well right now. I told you the Toronto Maple Leafs would take it personal against the Ottawa Senators. They did squeak by in the second game, but they did win the third game decisively. We're embarrassed by that loss and responded. That's all you can ask for from the Maple Leafs. I told you Chicago would beat the Red Wings. I told you Edmonton would beat the Jets in game 2. And I told you the Caps would beat the Sabres in both games. The Sabres are really struggling right now. They didn't look that bad to start, and they have a decent team on paper, but they are not a good team. Let's talk about some of the most electric moments from the past couple of days. Number one, Mitch Marner's goal against the Ottawa Senators, where he walks around Mike Riley and just rips it top corner, short side. Beautiful goal from Mitch Marner. He's not known as a shooter, but that was an absolute snipe. Also in that game, Austin Matthews picks up 2 goals, sends his point streak to 15 games. The guy is absolutely on fire. He's on a tear this season, and it's really fun to watch. Loving that line of Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews this season. In that game, William Nylander and John Tavares also got on the board, who were facing some heat recently. I have a theory that William Nylander is actually unable to get points unless you talk about trading him in the media. Next electric moments, as much as I don't like the shootout to decide games as a bettor, it was a very electric shootout between the Los Angeles Kings and the Arizona Coyotes, with Anze Kopitar, Christian Dvorak, and Nick Schmaltz all scoring filthy shootout goals. I'm actually going to break down the Anze Kopitar goal because I thought it was beautiful. The other great shootout moment was between the New York Rangers and the Philadelphia Flyers. Capo Caco started it off with an absolute rip to the top corner, and then Sean Couturier kept the Philadelphia Flyers alive with a beautiful 1-2 move. And then ultimately, Artemi Panarin, who actually has a 62.5% shootout rate, he's 15 for 24. He went in and just finished it for the Rangers. Apparently, he's just lights out in the shootout. Let's talk about some of the devastating moments. The first one, on Wednesday, the Calgary Flames came out completely flat against the Vancouver Canucks. There's a bit of a turning point in the series. The Flames had been getting the better of the Canucks for quite a few games, and then on Saturday night, the Canucks were out shooting them like crazy. The final shots were 40-18, but it was a 1-1 game. The Canucks scored and the Flames scored right away, and it seemed like there was nothing the Canucks could do to overcome Jacob Markstrom and the Calgary Flames this season, and had they not won that game, it might have been a backbreaker for them. Fortunately, Tyler Myers did score for them. They came out on top, and it's kind of like getting the monkey off the back for the Canucks, and they've actually shown that they can overcome some adversity, and they've been playing well since. I think the Flames took it a little bit for granted how good their record was against them. There's some absolute heartbreakers. The Devils beat the Bruins, and the Rangers beat the Flyers. The Pens I kind of expected to beat the Islanders, but the Kings beat the Coyotes, and that one also hurt me quite a bit. So what did we learn over the past couple of days, and what can we use going forward into this NHL weekend? Right now, the Chicago Blackhawks power play is firing at 32.7%. That's the second best in the NHL. Their penalty kill percentage is 82.1, which is good enough for 11th in the league. Chicago's save percentage of .919 is also 4th in the league. Special teams and goaltending has been working for the Blackhawks. Another thing we learned, forget about the pesky Sens, it's those pesky Devils. The Devils are a surprisingly good team, and they have a lot of weapons. They're a tough team to bet against right now. I like them as underdogs. Another thing we learned, the Penguins are on the rise, and as I'm saying these words, I can already feel like they're going to lose to the Islanders on Saturday. And the last thing we learned, the Anaheim Ducks cannot score, but they also don't let teams score very much. Playing the under in their games is always a great bet. Okay, now getting to predictions, starting with Friday night. I'm gonna go through all the Friday games, all the Saturday games, and all the Sunday games, which games you should stay away from, which games you should play, and what part of those games you should play. The very first game is the Chicago Blackhawks as plus 165 underdogs to the Carolina Hurricanes as minus 185 favorites. First thought on this game is I like the Blackhawks as underdogs if the line starts moving in Carolina's favor. You can get the Hawks at plus 175, plus 185, where you can double and triple your money. That's worth it in my opinion. I think they're good enough to go toe for toe with the Hurricanes. That said, the favorite is 5-1 in the last 6. The Hawks are 1-4 in the last 5 in Carolina. They're 1-6 in the last 7 meetings, and the Canes are 9-3 in their last 12. The over-under kind of goes either way. The under is 5-1 in the Hawks' last 6 road games. It's 5-1-2 in the last 8 meetings in Carolina, but the over is 4-0 in the Canes' last 4. Kevin Lankinen has a save percentage of .930 and has a 2.29 goals against average. He's been playing great for the Hawks. Hurricanes are a great defensive team. That's why I would think the way the Hurricanes and the Hawks have been scoring, people will think this game will go over and it'll actually go under. Next game is the Florida Panthers as -175 favorites against the Detroit Red Wings as +155. This is the first game of a back-to-back between these two teams. The Panthers are 14-3 in the last 17 meetings in Detroit. The favorite is 9-1 in the last 10. The under is 5-0 in the last 5 meetings. It's 6-0 in the Panthers' last 6 as a favorite. It's 5-1 in the Panthers' last 6 against a team with a losing record. And it's 6-1 in the Red Wings' last 7 overall. If I was picking this game, I would take the Panthers. I would also take the under. Up next, you have the big matchup, the Battle of Alberta. You have the Edmonton Oilers as slight underdogs, -105 against the Calgary Flames, -115 favorites. This is also the first game of a back-to-back between these teams. The over is 4-0-1 in the last 5 meetings between these teams. It's 18-7-1 in the last 26 in Calgary. It's 5-1-1 in the Oilers' last 6 against a team with a winning record. The over is 6-1-1 in the Flames' last 8 following a loss of 3 or more goals. So I do like the over in this game. As far as picking the teams, I'm leaning towards the Flames. However, there are trends that go for both teams. Flames are 3-14 in their last 17 following a home loss of 3 or more. The Flames are 7-23 in their last 30 following a straight up loss of 3 or more. The Oilers are 4-1 in their last 5 overall, and they're 8-3 in their last 11 when their opponent scores 2 or less in the previous game. However, Flames are 9-3 in their last 12 Friday games. Oilers are 1-5 in their last 6 Friday games. Flames are 8-2 as a home favorite. Flames have won 5 of the last 7 in Calgary, and the favorite is 4-0-1 in the last 5 meetings. If I was to lean, I would take the Flames, but I'm probably gonna take the over in this game, if anything. Up next, you have the Winnipeg Jets as +100 underdogs at the Vancouver Canucks -111 favorites. Jets are 14-2 in the last 16 meetings. They're 4-0 in the last 4 in Vancouver, but the home team is 15-7 in the last 22 meetings. The favorite is 20-6 in the last 26. The over is 4-1-3 in the last 8 in Van, but the under is 4-0 in the last 4 meetings outright. I'm gonna make a gut decision on this one. The way the Vancouver Canucks overcame the Calgary Flames in that series near the end, I think they were trending upwards, and I think they'll be playing better than the Jets, who dropped a game to the Sens, dropped a game to the Oilers. I like the Canucks in this one. All right, so let's get to Saturday predictions. There are 2 games at 12:30 p.m. The first one I will talk about is the Buffalo Sabres as -104 slight underdogs against the New Jersey Devils -117 favorites. The home team is 6-1 in the last 7. The Sabres are 2-8 in the last 10 in New Jersey. They're also 6-13 in their last 19 meetings. Devils are 4-1 when their opponent scores 2 or less in the previous game. Sabres have been trash. Devils have been good. I'm taking the Devils in this one. The other 12:30 game, the New York Rangers is +123 underdogs against the Washington Capitals as -148 favorites. Home team's 4-0 in the last 4. Rangers are 0-6 in the last 6 in Washington. They're 4-10 in the last 14 meetings. Favorite is 36-15 in the last 51 meetings. The over is 5-1 in the last 6 in Washington. The over is 36-15 in the Caps' last 51 home games. But the under is 11-0 in the Rangers' last 11 against a team with a winning record. So this might stay away from the over-under this one. Usually the Caps are a team that will drag the other team to being an over team. I could see the Rangers dragging the Caps to being an under team this time. My lean is toward the Caps, obviously. At 3 o'clock, you have the big outdoor game at Lake Tahoe. We've seen some beautiful pictures from that arena. This is the Vegas Golden Knights as +100 underdogs. The Colorado Avalanche at -127 favorites. Outdoor games are kind of weird sometimes. There's a lot of eyes on the players. There's a lot of pressure. Sometimes the ice surface isn't perfect. My lean in this one is the Colorado Avalanche. I think they're going to take more games of this series than the Vegas Golden Knights will, so I'd like them to win this game. This is a very close matchup, though. The underdog's actually 7-0 in the last 7 meetings. The road team is 4-1 in the last 5, but the Golden Knights are 2-5 in the last 7. The Avalanche are 12-4 in their last 16 against a team with a winning percentage above .600. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights are no slouches. They're 4-0 in their last 4 as underdogs, 7-1 in their last 8 Saturday games. They're 6-0 playing on 3 or more days rest. Marc-Andre Fleury has been playing out of his mind. He's going to be a Vezina candidate again this year, and he's been keeping the under going for the Vegas Golden Knights. The under's 4-0 in the Knights' last 4 overall. It's 5-0 in the last 5 Saturday games for the Knights. 10-1-1 in the last 12 when their opponent scores 2 or less in the previous game. And it's 7-2 in the Knights' last 9 in the second game of a home and home stand. If I was to lean this game, it would be the under. I think with the outdoor, the surface, the nervousness, there are not going to be a lot of goals in this game. It's really a toss-up who's going to win, though. Next game at 5 o'clock, this is the back-to-back between the Panthers and the Detroit Red Wings. Florida Panthers at -177 favorites against the Red Wings, +145 underdogs. I'm going to take the Florida Panthers because I think they're rolling right now, and I don't think the Detroit Red Wings are very good at all. Panthers are 9-1 in the last 10 meetings, 14-3 in the last 17 in Detroit. Red Wings are 3-13 in the last 16. The under 6-1 in the Red Wings' last 7 overall. It's 5-1 against teams with winning percentages above .600, and it's 3-0-1 in the Panthers' last 4 games on 0 days rest. I'm going to take the under in this game, and I'm probably going to take the Panthers. All right, so now let's take a look at the primetime games. 7 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday night, beginning with a big game between the New York Islanders as plus 100 underdogs against the Pittsburgh Penguins, minus 121 favorites. Favorites 4-0 in the last 4 meetings. The Penguins are 151-70 in their last 221 home games. The Islanders are 13-32 in the last 45 meetings in Pittsburgh. However, the Penguins are 2-7 in the last 9 against a team with a winning record. They're 1-5 in their last 6 Saturday games, 0-5 in their last 5 after allowing 2 goals or less in the previous game. The Islanders are 7-3 in the last 10, and the road team is 5-2 in the last 7. I think the Islanders are going to win this game just because Pittsburgh won the last game, and the Islanders are a very good team who like bouncing back. I'm a little bit scared of it. I kind of want to stay away, but I do like the value on the Islanders as plus 100 underdogs. Next 7 o'clock game, another classic matchup. This is dead even odds between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens, both at minus 110. The Leafs have terrible stats in Montreal. They're 4-11 in the last 15 there. The Leafs are 2-5 in the last 7 meetings between these teams, but they're also 8-1 in their last 9 against a team with a winning record, 5-1 in their last 6 road games, and 10-3 in their last 13 overall. The Leafs are rolling right now. Conversely, the Canadiens are 3-7 in the last 10 when their opponent scores 5 or more in the previous game. They're 3-7 in the last 10 at home, and they're 2-5 in their last 7 on 3 or more days rest. Now again, what I'm more interested for this game is the under. The under is 7-1 in the Leafs' last 8 against a team with a winning record. The under is 4-1 in the last 5 following a Leafs win. It's 4-1 in the Leafs' last 5 Saturday games. It's 5-2 in the Leafs' last 7 overall. It's 5-0 in the Habs' last 5 overall. It's 6-1 in the Habs' last 7 Saturday games. And the under is 9-3-2 in the Habs' last 14 games following a win. I love the under in this one. Give me terrible hockey. All right, next game, we got the Los Angeles Kings as plus 130 underdogs against the Arizona Coyotes at minus 157 favorites. The Kings are actually doing pretty well this season. They're 9-2 in their last 11 following a win. They're 7-2 in their last 9 after allowing 2 or less goals in the previous game. Coyotes are 2-6 in their last 8 against a team with a losing record. And the road team is 5-0 in the last 5 meetings. For that reason, I like the value on the Kings, but they did just win, so I would think the Coyotes might win this game. The under is 4-0 in the last 4 in Arizona, and it's 5-0 in the last 5 meetings between these teams. So my play would likely be Arizona to bounce back and the under. Next game, you got the San Jose Sharks plus 155 underdogs against the St. Louis Blues as minus 190 favorites. Sharks are 1-7 in the last 8 meetings. They're 1-5 in the last 6 in St. Louis. Home team is 11-5 in the last 16 meetings, and the favorite is 5-1 in the last 6 meetings. Then there's also 21-10-3 in the last 34 meetings in St. Louis. The next game is supposed to be the second half of a back-to-back between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Chicago Blackhawks, but that game has been postponed to replace another game. This is now a replay game between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Tampa Bay Lightning. As good as Carolina's been, I do like the Lightning in this game, especially with a little bit of rest. I'm not sure what the odds are for it yet. My lean is Lightning. I wouldn't touch it because they're both really good teams. Next game, you have the Nashville Predators as plus 107 underdogs against the Columbus Blue Jackets, minus 130 favorites. The home team's 4-0 in the last 4. Favorite is 45-19 in the last 64. Preds are 44-17 in the last 61, and the over is 8-3 in the last 11 meetings between these teams. It's a very tough call. I kind of like the value on Nashville, but I'm going to stay away from this game. All right, for the 9 o'clock game, you have the Minnesota Wild as minus 132 favorites against the Anaheim Ducks, plus 110 underdogs. Wild are 5-1 in the last 6 in Anaheim. The road team is 8-1 in the last 9 meetings between these teams. The Wild are 4-1 in the last 5 when their opponent scores 2 or fewer goals in the previous game. The Wild are 12-5 in their last 17 road games. The Ducks are 3-7 in the last 10 overall. The under is 5-0 in the Wild's last 5 road games. It's 8-1-1 in the Ducks' last 10 games on 1 day's rest, and it's 12-3-1 in the Ducks' last 16 overall. John Gibson's been playing great. The Anaheim Ducks cannot score, and they don't let other teams score, so I think it'll be an under game. My lean would be towards the Wild winning this one as well. In the very last game, the second half of the Battle of Alberta, the Calgary Flames are minus 104, slight underdogs against the Edmonton Oilers, minus 118 favorites in the second game. Without Markstrom in net, if it's Riddick in net, I do like Mike Smith in that matchup. I would think the Oilers split the series. I hope I don't get the games wrong. Sometimes I tell you it's going to split the series and I get the wrong game. I think the Flames will take the first one and the Oilers will take the second game, depending. If it's a blowout for the Flames, take them in the second game too. Now for the Sunday games, you have the Philadelphia Flyers and the Boston Bruins. This is a great matchup between 2 very strong teams. The Bruins have beaten them 4-0 this season in the series. For that reason, I kind of like the Flyers. I think the Bruins are going to drop one eventually. This Flyers team is too good to keep on losing to the Bruins. That said, maybe they just have their number. Now the next game is kind of interesting because you have the Montreal Canadiens at the Ottawa Senators. The Canadiens are on a back-to-back because they're going to play the Leafs on Saturday and the Sens on Sunday, but the Senators are not on a back-to-back, so they'll have the slight advantage there with some fresh legs. The last time the Senators played, they did get beaten by the Leafs 7-3, but there is potentially some value on the Senators team if the Canadiens are tired, especially if they get beaten bad and they're demoralized by the Toronto Maple Leafs. I could see the Senators come out firing. That said, I'll likely still take the Montreal Canadiens because they are the better team. Next, we have the New Jersey Devils and the Washington Capitals. Both of these teams will be playing the night before against the Sabres and the Rangers, respectively. Depending on how the Caps look against the Rangers and how the Devils look against the Sabres, I might change my pick in this game. Since returning, the Devils have beaten the Rangers 5-2 and the Bruins 3-2, while the Caps split with the Penguins and they only beat the Sabres 3-1. I like the Devils' value unless they lose to the Sabres, then I would take the Caps. In the very last game, the Winnipeg Jets against the Vancouver Canucks, game 2 of this series. Traditionally, the Jets have had the Canucks number, but I like the way the Canucks have been playing recently. That's why I am going to take them in both games on Friday and on Sunday night. Now, with all those predictions, I'm going to take those and give you my official picks for the whole weekend. This is who I think is going to win, who I think is going to lose. Starting with Friday night, we have an outdoor game on Saturday night and going right through to Sunday night. Give me the Hurricanes, Panthers, Flames, Canucks. Then on Saturday at 12:30, give me the Devils and the Capitals. Give me the Avalanche in the outdoor game. At 5 o'clock, I like the Panthers. And then at 7 o'clock, Islanders, Leafs, Kings, Blues, Lightning, Preds. At 9 o'clock, give me the Wild, and at 10 o'clock, give me the Oilers. That's what I think for the entire weekend of NHL action. Who's gonna win, who's gonna lose. I've posted a 9-5 record over the past 4 days back to back, so I'm doing pretty good at picking winners. You decide based on my predictions and these logos who you wanna parlay with. But I will also offer you my official bets of the weekend. These are the ones that I'm gonna take, that I'm gonna put money on. When I win, you win. When you lose, I lose. These are the ones that are gonna hit. Beginning with Friday night, give me the Florida Panthers, give me the under. If the Chicago Blackhawks line moves towards the Hawks, gets to plus 175, plus 185, I'm gonna take the Blackhawks as underdogs. If it doesn't move, I'm staying away. I'm gonna take a 2-team parlay, Florida Panthers and the Vancouver Canucks. Now on Saturday, I'm gonna swing for the fences. I'm gonna put one gambling unit on a 5-team parlay that I think is a lock. Devils, Panthers, Leafs, Lightning, Wild. Lock. And then on Sunday, I'm just going to take the Canadiens and the Devils. I think they're going to win. So that's it. That's what I think. Everything that happened earlier this week, we've been on fire through this entire gambling season, and we're going to keep it rolling through this fire weekend. The Casual Fan is now expanding into baseball and other sports, so stay tuned for that. Be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to follow Fan the Casual on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you guys for watching. I wish you luck. Let's all get rich. Let's make the best bets of our lives. And I'll see you all on Monday. Cheers.